How's it going, guys? I am the Watch Lad and welcome back. So when it comes to decent quality automatic watches for under $100, there's really not a whole lot of options to choose from. But luckily for us, Seiko has been blessing the world with affordable, reliable timepieces for decades now. And today I'll be taking a very close look at probably the most legendary of them all, the Seiko 5 SNK809. Stay tuned. So before we jump into the review, as always guys, this video is not sponsored by Seiko, but to be honest, I kind of wish it was, because unfortunately a lot of the heritage watch brands that do have a rich horological history, such as Seiko, don't tend to sponsor YouTubers. And in many ways, that's one of the main reasons why so many people who are just starting to get into watches flock to fashion brands. Because they simply don't know that there's better options out there. But that's a whole other topic for a whole other video that I'll be doing in the future. So without further ado, back to Seiko. Now, as many of you probably already know, Seiko is one of those brands that really has an incredible history, dating all the way back to 1881 with the original founder, Kintaro Hattori. Kintaro opened up a simple shop in Tokyo where he would go on to repair watches and clocks, but from there it would grow into something so much more. He opened up his own factory, and by 1913 they were already producing the legendary Laurel wristwatch, which was the first wristwatch ever produced in Japan. And there's really countless other things that could be said about how much of an impact Seiko's made on the watch industry over the past century. But let's get back to the watch in question, the Seiko 5 SNK809. This particular Seiko is one that's held in very high regard by many watch enthusiasts, mostly due to the incredible amount of value that it provides, and again, in this price range, there's really not much to choose from when it comes to automatic timepieces. Now, just real quick, if you're not entirely familiar with what an automatic watch is, it's simply a watch that has an automatic movement, and this type of movement is self-winding, meaning that the natural motion of the person wearing it provides the energy to run the watch. The exact model that I have here is the SNK809, which is the black dial version, but it's also important to note that there's multiple versions. There's the 803, which is the beige version, the 805, which is the sort of military olive green version, and then there's also the 807, which is the blue version. Now, they're all basically the same watch with different color schemes. And these watches all come from the legendary Seiko 5 collection. The 5 indicating, of course, the 5 different attributes that a Seiko watch needs to have to be a member of the Seiko 5 line. And those attributes are, number 1, it has to be automatic. Number 2, it has to display the day and the date. Number 3, it has to be water resistant. Number 4, it has to have a recessed crown, usually at the 4 o'clock position, although in recent years Seiko has made exceptions to this rule, with the crown occasionally appearing at the 3 o'clock position. And lastly, the watch must be durable. And I'm happy to say that this particular Seiko fulfills all of those requirements extremely well. So now let's move on to the specifications of the watch. We'll start with the size. The diameter is 37 millimeters. The height or thickness of the watch is 10 millimeters, the lug width is 18 millimeters, and lastly, from lug to lug, it's 43 millimeters. So right off the bat, this is definitely not a big watch, and that's honestly one of the things that I like about it. It's a very classic size that will age nicely for years to come. The case is made out of bead blasted stainless steel, and I have to say it looks quite good. If we flip it over, we get a nice polished finish, along with one of my favorite things about this watch, which is the display back. Personally, I've always been a fan of display backs. There's just something about them that I find nostalgic, and I think it really adds to the charm and the novelty of knowing that you're quite literally looking into the world of horology. Even if it is just a basic automatic movement such as this one. And speaking of the movement, inside we have the very respected Seiko 7S26C. It's a 21 joule automatic movement that operates at about 21,600 vibrations an hour. It has a power reserve of 40 hours, and although this movement does not feature hand winding or hacking, it does feature Seiko's signature magic lever system. This innovation greatly helps with the winding of the watch and makes it wind very quickly and efficiently. Overall, it's a very respected Seiko movement for this price point. The crystal is a hardlex crystal, which isn't as scratch resistant as something like sapphire glass, but it should definitely get the job done. It doesn't have any type of anti-reflective coating, but the black dial with the white numbers makes it very legible. This watch does have quick set, so if you pull the crown out to the first position, you can set the date and the day of the week quite easily. It also does feature Spanish days of the week for all of you Spanish speakers out there. And lastly, just simply pull the crown out all the way to set the time. Now let's get into the unboxing and discuss the features and design of this watch. The Seiko 5 SNK809 comes in a nice little blue box. I'm always a fan of Seiko's presentation when it comes to their packaging. Inside we find the watch wrapped around a nice little display pillow. As you hold it in your hand, you'll notice that the bead-blasted stainless steel feels quite good to the touch, and that it's also a very lightweight watch. Once it's on the wrist, it does fit quite well. It has a relatively small profile, and again has a very classic feel to it. The dial is very easy to read, even at a distance, as you guys can see. Now, the two-piece strap that it comes on is nothing special, but it will get the job done, and most of you guys will probably end up changing the straps anyways. Along with the watch, Seiko also provides the usual paperwork that just goes over the time setting, the maintenance, and the warranty of the watch. When it comes to the design of the SNK809, Seiko really did a fantastic job with it. The size is strikingly close to a 1950s timepiece, and the dial is very military-esque, making this watch a very classically designed timepiece that will look great for years and years to come. Now, despite the modest size and how well this watch wears, it's definitely not a dress watch. It more or less falls into the field watch category, but other than that, it is extremely versatile and can be worn at just about any occasion aside from formal ones. The dial is designed quite nicely. It has a nice glossy black finish with white numbers and markers to top it off. This combination of the predominantly black dial mixed with the white numbers makes this watch extremely legible even at a distance. Now let's move on to the features of the watch. As far as the features are concerned, there are a few that are worthy of note. Of course, the display back that allows you to look into the back of the watch is one of my favorites, as well as the lume, which I honestly think doesn't get enough love. Sure, it's not the brightest lume in the world, and I do wish that Seiko decided to lume the triangle at the 12 o'clock position, but for a watch at this price point, it does serve the purpose well, and it looks quite good. This watch does feature 30-meter water resistance, which is more than enough for your average day-to-day activities, unless of course you're an avid swimmer. I wouldn't suggest swimming in this watch, but as always I will be submerging it towards the end of this video. The watch also features the recessed crown in the 4 o'clock position, which keeps true to the traditional Seiko 5 principles, and last but not least, it features the bold Seiko 5 logo in the center of the dial. Now let's discuss the build quality. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of the key 5 attributes that a Seiko 5 must have is durability. And I have to be honest with you, this little watch is built like a tank. I've dropped it multiple times, I've accidentally bumped it, I've gotten it wet, and it simply keeps on functioning. If it's one category that this watch does hit out of the ballpark, it's without a doubt this one. I also did my usual submersion test, where I submerged this watch for about 5 minutes, and to nobody's surprise, this Seiko 5 passed the test with absolutely no issues. Now, again, this doesn't mean that you should swim while wearing this watch. Simply submerging it into a glass of water isn't really enough to recreate the violent speeds and thrusts of swimming with it, but you can at least be assured that if you happen to accidentally shower with it on, or happen to drop it in a puddle, you should be absolutely fine. In conclusion, I think it's safe to say that the SNK809 is built to last. So before we get into the closing statements, I do need to talk about a few negatives. Or at least things that some people might not like. For starters, the strap is a bit underwhelming. I understand that it's just a $70 watch, so Seiko needs to cut corners somewhere, but you'll probably be switching out the strap pretty quickly once you buy it. But to be honest, there's so many options out there when it comes to buying straps that I'm sure you'll be able to find something that you absolutely love. Secondly, the recessed crown can be a bit annoying for some people. If you don't have long fingernails like myself, it can be a bit tricky to get it to come out when you want to set the time and the date. And the movement itself, although being a great movement for this price point, it is a bit dated, with the original release year being 1996. So it takes about 4 hours to change the date over, from about 11 to 3 in the morning. But other than that, when considering all the positives that this watch has, I think it's safe to say that they far outweigh the negatives. To sum everything up, the Seiko 5 SNK809 is an absolute bargain for the price that you pay. With the price tag at the making of this video coming in at just $70, you're truly getting a legitimate automatic Seiko watch that's durable enough to last generations. This is something that you could quite literally pass on to your children and grandchildren, so it's really an investment that's worth every single penny. With all that being said, I still to this day wear mine, and it served me very well. I've never had an issue with it, and I don't think I ever will. I'll include an Amazon link below so you can pick up the Seiko 5 SNK809 at the lowest price available. I'll also include links to all the other color options, so if the black dial version isn't quite your cup of tea, you should be able to find one that is. And last but certainly not least, please don't forget to thumbs up and comment if you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all about the Seiko 5 SNK809, please leave it in the comment section below, along with any other watches that you guys might want to see me review in the future. I am the Watch Lad, thank you all for watching, and take care guys.